Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. Today we are cooking orange and hazelnut gateau. It's a French sort of recipe. Don't attempt this unless you've got time to do it, because there's a few stages to it and it's not something that you can just put on and leave. So do it on a day off. Here's what we need. We're also going to need a saucepan that we can put the oranges in with the water and the sugar because they're going to simmer. Hazelnut meal was not available, so I had to actually get blanched hazelnuts, and I weighed out the correct amount into the food processor. Hazelnut meal ahoy. I had to do that twice as well because there's two different variations to this. As I said, this is not a recipe to put on straight away and walk away from. The only good thing about this is it's a refrigerator recipe, not an oven recipe. So it's something that you can do in the morning, put in the fridge, come back 6 hours later. It's going to be in the fridge for 6 hours. So don't put it in and go afternoon tea in an hour. That ain't going to happen. All right, so let me show you what we need. Come on in. Alrighty, check out this assortment of beauties here of ingredients. 4 oranges, 2 cups of water, 1 cup of sugar, that would be your regular sugar, 50 grams of hazelnut meal, 600 mils of cream, which we're going to thicken. That does not take long to thicken with a stick mixer. If you haven't got one, I recommend you get one. Then we also need 200 grams of caster sugar. I've weighed that one out already. Another 50 grams of hazelnut meal and another 300 mils of whipped cream. Also, I did miss one ingredient, 250 grams of the sponge finger biscuits. Now, when I checked my little area where I keep these, I thought this was 250 grams. This is 193 grams. So I am already down by probably that many biscuits. So we're going to have to try and just make do without it. It's all good. We also need a springform pan. Now, a springform pan is one where you can undo the outside and the whole thing will pop out. So it gives you a nice, even thing. Like to take it out, you're not trying to lift it out. So they're easier to serve. If you do not have one, then make sure that when you go to lift the paper up, you can lift the paper up and fold it back, because that is how we're going to do it, because the only springform pans I have are round. I don't really want to do this one in a round one because it's a bit awkward trying to do sponge finger biscuits when they're round. However, we are soaking them in an orange syrup, which I'll explain later. I'm just setting the scene for this one. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I'm just setting the scene for you. So I will do this one in a rectangle dish. I will grease it and I will line it so that when I go to lift it out, I can peel back the paper, and that's the same as a springform pan. Okay, so that's where I'm getting at, but because I've got less of these, I've sort of got to try and work it that way, because it's going to be 2 layers of biscuits. So do a dummy run if you want, where you just try and see which pan's going to work the best, and we'll go from there. So first things first, said saucepan. You want a fairly big one because we're going to put the 4 oranges in it. We're not putting the oranges in yet, but you want to make sure they're going to fit. Also with the oranges, make sure you don't have stickers on them. I had 4 out of 4 with stickers on. Okay, so first of all, in goes your cup of water. What we're doing is we're making an orange syrup. Move my ingredients list out of the way. And then we want 1 cup of white sugar. This is the only thing I didn't measure up, so... Oh, and I didn't find a pan, but considering I'm going to be doing this, we're fine. Alright. Sprinkle your 1 cup of sugar in. Alright, we're going to go put that over a medium heat. Medium heat would be around 3. And then once that sugar's dissolved, those oranges will go in. So, let's go. Okay, so I always start mine on 6 because I can't remember which one it is, but literally unless I put the hot plate, the thing on 6, it just doesn't ever heat up. So, as I can't remember which one it is and I don't have time to do so, we're not going to play that game today. So once that's dissolved, so just give that a bit of a stir. Now you're probably thinking right now, what's she going on about? This isn't a very hard recipe. It's not a hard recipe. It's a time involved recipe. So, but I mean, the end results are going to look amazing. So if you want to sort of do something special for people, make this. But just remember, 6 hours in the fridge before you can even serve it up. So unless you've got 6 hours, preferably start it the day before. Start it in the night, refrigerate it overnight, problem solved. But that's all it is to it. Alright, so once that's done, we're going to put the oranges in and we're going to simmer them for 15 minutes. Yes, all 4 oranges. Now, I'm not going to juggle. I'm not a juggler. Alright, so while that's going on, I'm going to go and look for the perfect dish to make this in. And I've just been rearranging stuff. I've decided to go with a loaf pan because you need 3 layers of biscuits, not 2 like I said. So these ones I'm going to have to cut, but this is going to be my best way to do it. So as I said, make sure you've got it lined really well. We're not cooking it, so we don't need to worry about anything bubbling over or anything. So we're going to do it in that size pan because I've got 2, 4, 6. So it's 7 biscuits per layer. I guess that goes to show you've got to check what you've got in stock before you say that one's a good idea. But on the positive side, all the sponge finger biscuits have gone, so at least I know for next time I have none left. I keep that up in my memory bank, aka my head, so I know what's going on. Alright, now that we're boiling, 4 oranges are going for a swim. Perfect. Set your timer for 15 minutes. And don't forget to pop your lid on as well. So we'll just find my lid. Alright. So we'll be back in 15 minutes to those. They're fine. So come on over and I'll show you how we're going to do the rest. Okay, so this is what I mean by choose the right pan for the recipe. If I had have done a round one, I would have only been able to do 2 layers, then I'm not technically doing the correct recipe. With me doing this one, I am going to be able to do the recipe, but it's just going to be on a smaller level. So it doesn't really matter to me. The main thing is that I'm going to get it done. So grease it with some margarine. And then get your paper and push it in. And you can see what I mean by having those big handles, I guess you call it, where you can lift it out. because that's the equivalent of a spring-form pan. So when you think about it, this recipe is predominantly biscuits and cream. So put that into perspective for you. It's not that hard a recipe. But every now and again, when you're learning to cook, or when you are cooking, if you just keep doing same old, it just gets boring for you. So you really need to chuck in one of these for good measurement and test yourself. Okay, now it looks like I've gone way overboard with the paper, but believe me, when I come to lift that out, I will be very happy that I did so. All right, so while that's going on, let's get our stick mixer ready, because we've got 2 lots of cream to whip up. You can start to smell the orange in there as well. Okay, so we're going to whip the cream, which is the bigger one, until the stiff peaks form. So it being 600 mils, we're going to need a pretty big jug for this, okay? So no point in getting a tiny cup. So in it goes. It does sort of get confusing because you've got 1 lot of this and you've got 1 lot of that. And then you come back and you've got 1 lot of this and 1 lot of that again. Just keep an eye on your oranges. They should be bubbling along lovely. If you can, just turn them over. So we're making what we call an orange syrup, which is what we're going to be soaking our sponge finger biscuits in, which we have to cut because they're too big for that size there. All right. So get a stick mixer. If you haven't got a stick mixer, your normal mixer will do it. Either one. I just find with the thickened cream, the stick mixer is really good. See how easy that was? Back in the older days, before things like this and even the mixer, I do have one somewhere. You had to actually, well, you either had to use a whisk, which basically meant your arm would fall off, or you would have to use a handheld one, which was literally like riding a bicycle, but not really though. Now I'm going to keep that because I've got more cream to whip later, so just stand it in something and pop it aside. All right, so the good thing is, grab your spatula. I've always got my handy pink spatula ready. Give that a stir. So with the 600 mils of cream, in goes 1 lot of the hazelnut meal. Whip the cream until stiff peaks form and fold through the hazelnut meal. Now I am getting a little bit ahead, and this is only just so that I can come back to what we were doing before, because we are basically layering the biscuits and the cream together. Beautiful. Alright, so that's our first lot of hazelnut cream. Alright, we've got still a few more minutes, so what I will try and do while that's going on is actually cut the fingers to size. Now the good thing about these biscuits is you can actually cut them, so you don't have to stress too much. And in our case, we're probably going to hang on to whatever we cut off because we're going to need it. Right, so I'm going to use that as a template and then just basically cut them all to the same size. At this time you might want to maybe get a couple of plates to put them on. I'm going to do them onto 3 plates because that way I can work on my 3 layers. As I said, keep those little pieces because they can probably fill in some gaps somewhere. See how versatile these biscuits are? I must have, when I brought them, and they keep forever too, by the way, so don't stress. I normally use them for tiramisu, or I must have made something called quick tiramisu or something, if I remember right, one night. And they were obviously the leftovers. I nearly got rid of my template. Alright, so that's one layer. I'll just put that one aside so we don't get muddled up. Sometimes when you're cooking you need to just use the whole kitchen if you have to. Just put stuff everywhere. Do one major wash up at the end. If you can, leave some soapy water in the sink and wash up a few things as you go, but it's just easier if you can just do it all at the end. Washing up's not my favourite thing. Drying up's my worst thing though. And I don't own a dishwasher, so I am the dishwasher. Dishwashers are good and bad. They're good because obviously you don't need to wash up or dry up, but they're bad because last time I had one, things like cups with print on them always end up with no print on them. So the theory is that you can't put everything in a dishwasher then, can you? Alright, I'll keep one of those for a template. And here comes our last lot. Alright. So, I hope you're feeling confident now that you're seeing what I'm doing. 7. And you'll join me with this delicious hazelnutty orangey assortment of fun. We've also got to make a hazelnut praline to go on top as well. That's where the other hazelnut goes, and that's why we have more sugar. So it's quite an adventure we're on here. I'm going to use this layer for the top, so if some of them are a bit smaller, it's not going to matter too much. Alright, so this, I've also done this to show you that if you are short of an ingredient, you can overcome it. Things like sponge finger biscuits, a lot of times I've found, or when biscuits, you always end up with a lot left over, and then you get really cranky because you've actually gone out and brought more because you thought you was going to run out. if I'm cooking something and I tell you you can't, you have to have that much, I will tell you. But with those, as I said, we've overcome it by making it into a smaller dish. So it's not going to be the end of the world. All right, now we're nearly up with our 15 minutes. So let me tell you what we're up to next. Okay, remove the oranges and set aside to cool. When cool, slice 2 oranges thinly and reserve the remaining 2. So we are then going to be dipping the oranges in that syrup that we've got there. So I'll be back soon when we're ready to do that. Okay, so I've got the oranges out and they're just chilling and cooling. And in the meantime, I am trying to make sense of how we are making the praline. Because it says place the water and sugar. Now, sugar, yes, it tells me is 200 grams of caster sugar. All right, so we got that right. It doesn't tell me how much water again. I've already used 2 cups of water with the other one. So I'm just going to put 2 cups of water in and hope for the best. So we're making a toffee. So we'll need a stirring stick. We're going to put this over where the other one was. And we want this to dissolve. And we're going to make some toffee, which we put the rest of the hazelnut meal over. So I'll be back. Okay, so we have placed the sugar and water, 2 cups of water, and the 200 grams of caster sugar into a saucepan and dissolve the sugar, stirring over a medium heat. Bring to the boil and cook until sugar is golden brown toffee. Pour toffee onto a paper-lined tray and sprinkle with the remaining hazelnut meal. Okay, so that is what we are doing. So if you've ever made toffee, your water will actually go that browny colour, and that is what we're looking for. So in the meantime, we're just going to leave that. Hopefully it will go brown and not burn. There's a difference between the two. So we've got the oranges. They're still a bit warm, but they're cool enough. So we're going to slice them thinly. And yes, that does include keeping the skin on them as well. Once again, I don't know how we're going to go having this many oranges since we've gone smaller, but we'll see how it pans out. Just cut them up. If worse comes to worse, I've got 2 oranges which I can do who knows what with. So we're going to be ready to bring the orange syrup over soon. Alright, I'm just going to go turn that down. We don't need it on super high. But if you've ever made toffee before, you will actually see the clear water start to go brown. Alright, I'm going to leave that out. I don't think we need that. That's not going to make a huge contribution. Alright, so pop these slices into here and repeat with the other one. So I'll just throw out the end pieces. Now if you don't like orange peel, then you're probably not going to like this recipe, but you probably won't really taste it. That's the whole idea of having it so thin. If you've got time to wait for them to cool, probably cool them just in case they're a bit hot to touch. But I must say they're a lot easier to cut up while they're like that, and that's going to cool quicker. I don't want to be putting hot in with cream in case it curdles. So the whole idea is to get it cut up as quick as I can. I'm going to throw that bit out because I definitely think I've got way too much orange because I've had to downsize here. So this could get a bit frustrating. All right. This is our orange syrup in here, what we cooked our oranges in. Okay, so what we have to do, dip the biscuits a few at a time in there and then place them over the base. Okay, so yes, it is going to be hot. This is no different to when you make tiramisu, where you soak them in the Kahlua. Just the difference is obviously it's a syrup, not a liqueur. All right, we're going good. And all those leftover pieces, I think we'll keep them for the end. Okay, so then we want to spread 1/3 of the cream over the top. So that was the cream that we whipped up earlier with the hazelnut in it. All right, so how are you going with that? Confident? All right, beautiful. Look at that. That's easy enough, right? All right, I'm just going to quickly go and stir the toffee. Now, once again, this recipe does involve you multitasking. If you don't multitask, get someone to help you. All right, cover the cream with orange slices. Okay. We should be right. They do cool pretty quick, which is the good thing. So keep in mind, I've got a lot of orange slices and not a lot of room. So don't be afraid to double it up, okay? All right, we're ready to go again. Put a few in and then just turn them over. This is a good recipe for starting to get your confidence up with doing tricky things. Oh, don't leave them in too long. That one just broke. If you can't do it quick, like I just didn't do then, just go back to doing one at a time. It's an in and out technique. This is going pretty good. Sorry if I had you worried about it. It's just, as I say, it's better for me to, we're going to put a few of these in the corner here. It's better for me to pre-warn you than to say, go and do it. All right. Chuck on another lot. All right, so we've got another layer. We're going to put some more oranges on top. You got confidence now, right? Because you're doing this. If If you're doing this, you're doing awesome. All right, let's go grab that last layer of biscuits. Give the toffee syrup a stir as we go. All right, let's go. Final round. So this is a good one for a dinner party if you want to try and impress people, I suppose. I'm going to do these ones from down here because I can fill in the end with the leftover bits if I have to. Now obviously because this is a tapered dish, it is going to look like this. See how I've got a big gap in the middle? It's not a problem. That's why I said keep those ends. Fortunately, I do need a slotted spoon. No one's going to see what that looks like. So just put them on. Whack them in and whack them on. Oh. Doing awesome. All right. I've made something similar to this before, so it wasn't a big thing. It was mainly, I did this one to get rid of those biscuits, but I didn't think that I would run out as well, so it sort of backfired on my part. Look at that. Put the final amount of cream on top. Being a good cook is not just about being able to do things, it's also about being able to overcome problems when you haven't got ingredients, when you're not sure if something's looking right, something's not cooked. So we overcame this problem because I was short by a few finger biscuits, but it's actually probably going to look better. All right, finish with sponge fingers and cream. Now I'm just going to put a final layer of oranges on top because I've got them. So I really have no idea what I'm going to do with the last two. Because the praline's going to be going on top and some more cream. Probably just going to cut the oranges up to serve with it. I don't really know. Alright. Now grab some cling wrap. Cover that. That goes in the fridge for 6 hours. So I'm going to see you back here in 6 hours. Okay, so I'm at a near enough is good enough stage. It has started to go light brown. So pour that on to that paper. And then all you need to do, sprinkle the rest of this over the top. And then that will make hazelnut. Alright, that will set in no time. We'll be back in 5 hours or whatever it is. And I'll show you how we're going to dish this up. See you soon. Bye. So we've still got another 2 hours before we're going to, an hour and a half, sorry. But I'm going to get the cream ready. That's the 300 mils. Okay, so 300 mils of cream. We're going to whip it like we did before. Okay, so our praline that we made has come up okay. What I've done is chop it up. We fold that into there. It looks like rocks, but it's not. Didn't break up as good as I wanted it to, so that's got to go over the top when we're ready. And then this we've got to break up as well. So I'm going to put that back in the fridge, and I'll see you in a little bit. Because that's still very stringy, I'm going to put that in the freezer, and then that way hopefully when I'm ready for it, it'll be a lot firmer. Okay, so get ready for excitement. I've decided to cut the peel off the oranges that are going on the top. That way I'm not wasting it. What I put in the freezer worked out a treat. That's actually made it easier to smash it up. So there's a tip for you. Put it in the freezer, not the fridge. The cream is already done, as we know. And here comes the baby. All right. Nearly knocked you over there. That wasn't an earthquake, that was me knocking into it. All right, let's check this baby out. All right, so hopefully, oh yep, perfect. See that? We didn't need that springform pan after all. Oh, look at that. See our 3 layers? That is absolutely magnificent. Beautiful. Now, if you can, try and get the paper out from underneath, only because that way it will be easier for serving. If you can't, doesn't matter. I don't think it'll be the end of the world if you can't get all the paper out, because as you're serving it, you can just cut it away. Now, it does still feel a little bit wet. When I say, I mean the cream is not as set as I thought it would have been. And that was 6 hours. So I just want to get it finished, and then I'll refrigerate it because it is getting quite late. All right, so what we need now is we need my handy pink spatula. Because we're actually going to put that praline cream on top. Such a lot of cream. Plus we've already got the praline in this. Just as a guideline, when you go to cut it, try and use your sponge finger biscuits as a cutting point. That way it won't be as traumatic for you. Alright. Now the orange peel that's in it, it will be like eating marmalade. So if people don't like marmalade, they're not going to like this. So then all we do is we put these pieces on top. They'll like these pieces because these don't have the peel on them. If you can, try and go for a nice sweet orange. Fantastic. And then just a few shards of this on top. You can Just try and position it like so. Alright, well that has been an adventure and a half. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. We have made orange and hazelnut gateau. It's a bit long and involved, but it's probably worth the effort, especially if you want to practice your baking skills and learn something new. So thank you for watching, and I'll check in with you on the next episode. Bye.